Hey everyone! Welcome to Update X24H, your go-to channel for the latest news, hottest dramas, breaking stories, and all the buzz from the world of entertainment. We're here to keep you updated, entertained, and always in the loop. Hit that subscribe button and join our growing family, because here at Update X24H, we bring you the news that matters, the drama you love, and the stories you can't miss. Thanks for being part of our community. Let's stay connected, stay updated, and keep the good vibes rolling. Just 1 minute ago, Yu Menglong's family revealed shocking new details to the police. Details that could change everything we thought we knew. Was this really a tragic accident? Or something much darker? Stay with us, because what you're about to hear may forever change the way we remember him. At just 37 years old, Yu Menglong's life came to an abrupt and devastating end, leaving behind a silence that felt heavier than words could carry. To those who knew him only through the screen, he was a rising star whose gentle presence and quiet determination made him both relatable and inspiring. For those who followed his career closely, his journey was more than a collection of songs and dramas. It was a testament to how talent, perseverance, and humility could coexist in a world often dominated by spectacle and noise. His death, sudden and unsettling, struck not only the entertainment industry but also millions of ordinary people who had come to see in him a reflection of their own dreams and struggles. The shock did not remain confined to Beijing. Within hours, vigils appeared online, hashtags surged through global platforms, and photographs of Yu lit up timelines across continents. From Seoul to Paris, from Bangkok to Los Angeles, fans found themselves united by grief that transcended geography. They did not gather merely to mourn the passing of a celebrity. They came together to honor a human being who had touched their lives in subtle, enduring ways. Yu represented more than glamour. He carried with him the image of an artist who rose through relentless effort, someone who smiled despite the weight of expectations, someone who embodied the fragile balance between public admiration and private solitude. The impact of his death rippled far beyond the loss of entertainment value. It forced audiences to confront the vulnerability of those who stand in the spotlight. Questions about mental strain, industry pressure, and the unseen burdens of fame echoed through every conversation. In many ways, Yu's passing became a mirror, reflecting not only his unfinished story, but also the collective anxieties of a generation that struggles between ambition and exhaustion. His absence left a void not simply because he was a beloved performer, but because he symbolized the possibility that kindness and integrity still had a place in a competitive world. As candles flickered in cities across the world, people whispered the same thought. How could a life filled with promise end so suddenly, and under such troubling circumstances? It was this mixture of admiration, sorrow, and confusion that turned a private tragedy into a public reckoning. Yu Menglong's story has now become more than a headline. It is a reminder of how fragile life is, how easily light can be extinguished, and how deeply one man's presence can resonate across the globe. From the very beginning, the circumstances surrounding Yu Menglong's final hours carried an unsettling weight, as though the truth had been carefully concealed beneath fragments of broken evidence. The reports described his fall from the 5th floor as a tragic accident, but the details whispered something far more complicated. Neighbors spoke of raised voices echoing through the corridor late at night, the kind of heated exchange that lingers in the mind when something dreadful follows. One recalled the sound of an object being hurled against a wall, a crash that shattered the silence before dawn. Another remembered shadows moving through the building at an hour when few should have been awake. These observations may seem small in isolation, but together they painted a picture filled with unease. What investigators discovered at the scene only deepened the doubt. In Yu's possession were 2 Rolex watches, items of considerable value and yet, according to his family, not his own. Their presence raised questions that no official statement has yet answered. Why would he carry objects that belonged to someone else? And why did they appear in his room on the very night of his death? Was it a coincidence? Or did these watches serve as symbols of a conflict that escalated beyond control? The mystery of these objects lingers like a shadow over every attempt to explain what happened. Even the physical state of the room refused to align with the story of an accident. The window mesh was torn apart, as if forced by someone desperate to alter the space. The curtains had been removed entirely, a detail that speaks less of disorder and more of deliberate interference. To imagine that Yu, meticulous and careful in both his career and life, would have left his surroundings in such disarray is difficult. Instead, the evidence seemed to suggest the presence of others, of actions taken to disguise what had truly occurred. Each clue, from the unfamiliar voices to the broken fittings, added layers to an already confounding tragedy. For fans, it became impossible to accept the notion of a simple fall. They saw instead the outline of a struggle, a confrontation behind closed doors that ended with irreversible loss. What should have been an evening of companionship turned into a night that dissolved into silence, leaving only unanswered questions behind. And in those unanswered questions lies the deepest wound, the suspicion that Yu's death was not the end of his story, but the beginning of a truth that has yet to be revealed. When the official statements insisted that no crime had been committed, it was Yu Menglong's family who stepped forward and broke the silence with words that cut through the fog of uncertainty. Their testimony carried both grief and defiance, for they had lost a son, a brother, a loved one whose final night did not resemble the simple story offered to the public. They spoke of a dinner that turned sour, of conversations that began in warmth but descended into tension, ending with arguments that no one could forget. They recalled the presence of people who did not belong, individuals whose names and faces were unfamiliar, yet who seemed to carry with them the weight of expectation, pressure, and perhaps hidden intentions. Their account was not simply a list of facts but a plea for the truth. They described how Yu had returned to his room that night with a heaviness in his expression, as if something unresolved lingered in his mind. The discovery of luxury items in his possession, items they claimed were not his, only sharpened their suspicion that he had been entangled in matters he never chose. To the family, these objects were not evidence of his lifestyle but symbols of a conflict he had been forced to face. The locked door, the broken window mesh, the missing curtains, all were details that to them felt deliberate, pointing to intrusion rather than accident. What gave their words such force was not only their clarity but their love. They had seen Yu in his quietest hours, had known his habits and his values. He was careful, thoughtful, and not reckless with his safety or his belongings. To believe that he had simply fallen was to deny the person they knew so well. Their testimony reminded the world that behind the celebrity was a human life with rhythms, routines, and relationships that could not be so easily dismissed. The courage of his family shifted the conversation. Their voices pierced through the official narrative, urging investigators to reconsider the evidence and compelling the public to look closer at the contradictions. In their grief, they offered not only remembrance but resistance, the determination that Yu's death would not be reduced to a statistic or a convenient explanation. Their testimony transformed the case from a tragedy shrouded in silence into a story that demanded accountability, and in doing so they gave millions the strength to continue asking the question that still hangs in the air. Where is justice for him? Could this tragedy be tied to the hidden side of the entertainment industry? Some insiders whispered about jealousy, professional rivalry, or even dangerous secrets Yu might have uncovered. Others pointed to the growing pressure celebrities face, in a system that demands perfection but often hides exploitation. Yu's death is no longer just a personal loss. It has become a mirror reflecting the darkest corners of fame. Millions of fans have turned grief into action. Online communities are piecing together timelines, analyzing leaked images, and questioning every inconsistency. At candlelight vigils, banners read, "This cannot be an accident, and we need justice." From Tokyo to Toronto, people are standing together, not only mourning a beloved star but also demanding truth. What hasn't been said before? Some neighbors recall seeing unfamiliar cars parked near the building days before the tragedy. Others noticed Yu withdrawing from public events, as if carrying a burden he couldn't share. And now forensic experts are re-examining every clue. Fingerprints on the watches, the tampered window mesh, and unexplained gaps in the timeline. The investigation is ongoing, but the questions remain louder than the answers. Did Yu fall, or was he pushed into circumstances beyond his control? Was this a clash of personal disputes, or a battle against forces bigger than any one person could handle? One thing is certain, the truth cannot remain hidden forever. At Update X24H, we believe Yu Menglong's story deserves more than silence. His family's courage to speak out reminds us all that justice is not just about facts. It's about love, memory, and dignity. We will continue to follow every update, every testimony, every piece of evidence. Folded hands, thank you for watching and honoring Yu's memory with us. If you believe the truth should come to light, support us by subscribing to Update X24H, sharing this story, and staying tuned for the next update. Together, let's keep his voice alive.